I'll do this. We're going live.
Yeah.
We're live.
Oh no. Can they hear me?
Yeah, they can. Live.
Oh, okay.
We're going for gold. Do you remember going for gold, Hobbit, when you were sick?
I do actually, yeah. Was it known as Jeux Sans Frontières over in the rest of Europe?
Was it?
Games Without Frontiers, or Games Without
Henry
Borders.
Kelly. Or Ian Fortean, what's this? We're going to play Doom, Ian.
Yeah, I'm playing Doom right now, or as it's also known as Factorio. I've been
Doom
playing
the
it with a
Factorio
friend.
level.
So
Is that what happens after he's killed all the demons? He just runs a factory on an alien planet.
yeah, and just like spreads pollution and mass produces
Anyway,
like
let's see
skull
what a
and bone.
Soldander box is, or if it's
Is it spelt Solander pronounced Colander, or is it Solander pronounced Clough?
look. I'll put the link into the Soldander box or clamshell case. Is a book form case used for storing manuscripts, maps, prints, documents, old precious books, etc. It is commonly used in archives,
Clamshell.
print rooms, and libraries. It's named after the Swedish botanist Daniel Solander, so it's a Solander, not a Soldander. So smack on the wrist for the T. Lawrence Society.
I can't think of any other sort of famous Danish words that we use, because the only other one that comes to mind is Lego. But Lego
it's not a
is
Danish
like,
word; it's just a Danish surname.
but that's kind of like Copernicus.
No, he's Swedish,
Copernicus
not Danish.
is Latin. Well, yeah, Danish,
Yeah, well
Swedish,
done,
they're
Hobbit.
all
You didn't listen to a
Scandinavian.
single word I said. Just
What?
like my missus.
No, I'm right.
You're using Danish
we were talking.
words. No, it's a Swedish surname.
You just came out and said, "Oh, he's Danish." That's where we get the term Solander from.
Did I say Danish?
I am.
If I said Danish, I'll have to listen back to the tape, and then I'll call you a knobhead.
See, it was you that wasn't listening to yourself. I actually was and you know what? The chat is going to back me up on that. But anyway, so Mr. Solander, he gave the
Dom
name
says
to
go
clamshell.
Kabbalah.
So Mr. Solander, what gives his name to the?
Ian said, "Hemi, when Hobbit stayed at your place last week, did you ensure there was a sink in his room?" No, the toilet's not that far.
What the fuck?
You said you used to piss in the sink at your nan's house or something. Do you not remember that conversation?
Everyone's done sink pissing, but I do not remember this conversation.
It's whether you're honest enough to admit it.
Right, yeah, that was it, because we did the episode about useless inventions, and I showed Ian's sink pisser, and I pointed out and said, well, look, the hole on that is below the overflow valve.
Yeah.
So it's just going to gush out over the floor, therefore it's a useless invention. Yeah, it's just a useless... Well, you're going to just... It's useless.
Mm.
You know, it's bad design.
Ian's got a new joke now. You're a sink pisser, Hobbit.
Well, it's not a joke. It's just a statement of fact. It's like, unlike some people, I'm honest about it.
We all know Ian's pissed in a sink. Ian's probably shit in a sink, knowing Ian.
Well, look, I mean, who else has gone to university? I mean, I haven't gone to university.
I bet Ian went to university. He seems like that sort of wanker, doesn't he?
And we all know people in universities, the sink is multi-purpose, right? Because you're not. It's 3 in the morning. You're drunk.
It's only rude if you leave your washing up in there.
Yeah, that's it. Well, I think it's pretty rude if you leave your pubes
Ian
and your
says
poo
Hobbit
in there.
is on the cover of the current edition of Sink Pisser Monthly.
There is no publication called Sink Pisser Monthly. You're making it up.
It is because Ian subscribed to it. Now, why would Ian be subscribed to Sink Pisser Monthly, Hobbit?
Subscribed? He's the editor. He's written numerous articles for Sink Pisser Monthly. He's got the he's got the registry of Sink Pisser monthly subscribers, and that's where he's got my address from.
Mm.
So anyway, we were going to talk about this guy called T.
He said
Lawrence.
he said I pissed and threw up in my sink, but not shit in there.
Oh, I see. So if vomit and urine is okay, but excretion somehow, that's just. But that the bar's set too low.
I don't know why, but I just think there's something really low class about puking in a sink. You puke in a toilet.
Well, the other thing about
is that just me being weird or what?
Like the only time when so now we're on to the subject, right? This is logistics, and it didn't work out, so I got a bucket instead. I had norovirus. Have you ever had the misfortune of having norovirus?
I think I had it Millennium New Year's Eve.
It's not fun.
I vomited so hard that the vomit shot back out of the toilet.
Well, put it this way: with the norovirus, I wish somebody had told me, said, right, you will want to drink because you've just vomited. Under no circumstances swallow anything. You'll be bringing it back up again in 10 minutes.
Tenfold.
If someone just said, look, just I know you want to, just don't. Trust me. And I'd have been like, oh, okay. Well, at least then you could just swish the water around in your mouth and spit it out.
Yeah.
Because you'll bring it out. So anyway, whilst I still had stuff in me, and even when I no longer had stuff in me, I was like, I'm still vomiting from both ends. I'm sat on the toilet, but going like, no, it's still going to come out my mouth. I tried to contort my body so that I could vomit in the sink, and I couldn't reach it. So I just emptied everything out of the bathroom bin and used that. And then I washed out in the sink.
Yeah.
So you know what? Norovirus, 8 hours of hell. 8 hours of absolute hell. Wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy.
Yeah, like I say, Millennium New Year's Eve, that was me home puking. I'll fucking ring up.
Those people that end up on cruise ships, and when one person gets norovirus, they all get it. That must be hell on earth or hell on the ocean.
What happens to 14 subject here? What happens to the plumbing in what's in the plumbing in ships? Do they have to keep it or what?
Bilge tanks.
Oh, so they have to keep it then.
I imagine in the larger sinks, in the larger ships, they'll have like actual sewage processing facilities.
Yeah.
If it's a cruise liner or so.
You mean something like the Queen Mary or something like that?
What is done, because there's two examples. I mean, with ferries, they just hold it in a bilge tank, and then when they're docked, they unload it because there's not that much to deal with. But what is done with sewage on a cruise liner? I mean, in olden days, they just flushed it straight in the sea.
So,
to
be fair, probably would have gone over the side on a bucket.
Well, no, even in the days of the Titanic, even in third class, it was like they had proper plumbing then.
Yeah.
So, did you know that in a week a cruise ship?
Oh, so there was like Turdbergs. There's like Turdbergs coming out the back of the Titanic.
Well, that's a feature amongst all ships. It's called bilge. So a cruise ship can produce over 1 million gallons of sewage.
Is that what you're saying when you're saying somebody talks her to bilge?
Yeah. Bilge is another thing. So what we got? We got toilets. We got sewage treatment plants. Yeah. So in other words, they got a sewage treatment plant inside the ship, but unlike one sewage works near us, it's not open air because you don't want customers choking.
It was vodka vomit that went in the sink. Yeah, vodka vomit's really bad because it just stinks of vodka, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's funny how when you vomit alcohol, it smells of the alcohol you've just consumed.
Anyway, Hobbit, today's subject
is pissing and vomiting in the sink and shitting in it.
Lawrence of puking in the sink. Do you think T. Lawrence puked in the sink or shit in the sink?
Well, I do know that when he was talking about the Cossacks, the Cossacks.
Ian will like this bit. You know the Cossacks, Ian. You know the Cossacks. They do the funny dancing and the riding on horses.
The shin dance. They ride on horses. The Cossacks, when they're being all Cossacky, the Cossacks,
the Cossacks.
They do the sword dance. They cross sabres and they dance over it.
Yeah.
I mean, the Scots do that too, but the Cossacks do it. You know the Cossacks? They parade on horses. They stand up on saddleback and they do the shin dances on the horses. They ride around in the steppes of Russia. The Cossacks, being all Cossacky. The Cossacks.
Ian
knows
the Cossacks. Ian knows the Cossacks, don't you?
Yeah, Ian knows the Cossacks.
Yeah, you know the Cossacks.
Well, then again, Ian, when Stuart Lee was talking about the typical Stuart Lee theatre experience goer, like Ian is the identikit fit for it. So the Cossacks, they're
Ian was well justified in puking all that up. The barman in the Poly bar was giving everything away. I was drinking pints of vodka and orange, and then did vodka vomit in my sink when I got back to the room in Hall. In Halls, he was in Halls, Hobbit. Ooh, la di da. I'm in Halls. Ooh, la di da.
That's what sinks are for. In student halls.
Yeah.
So the Cossacks,
the
Sabres, they're in paradise.
Surely Hobbit is more of a Trappist beer drinker, Ian. Alphabet Cat knows you, doesn't he?
Surely Hobbit's
or
more
Stella.
Trappist
Or
beer.
Stella.
Yeah, I mean, what?
You do the proper Belgian Stella, do you, Hobbit?
The thing is, I because I've always drunk it over here. I always thought, Stella's not that special, but apparently the Stella made here is in Burton upon Trent. So
Stella here is
I've never actually drunk. Well, yeah, because it's Burton upon Trent.
It's all right. Ian's got your Hobbit. Hobbit's a Doom Bar drinker. Do you get it?
I like Doom Bar. So you know what?
Capstan
I'm all right
used to
with
say
that.
it was awful.
Yeah, but he's got no taste, has he?
I wouldn't know because he doesn't talk to us anymore, does he, Hobbit? We don't know what his tastes are that he'd say.
Well, his tastes are avoiding all conversation with us whatsoever and running away like a fucking girl. Not that he listens to this show.
Yeah.
And not that our audience know who he is either. So anyway, T. Lawrence, he was this bloke.
T.
And
Lawrence.
he did a bunch of stuff.
T.
Lawrence.
Yeah. Lawrence.
Yeah.
So how are we going to approach this? We're talking about Lawrence of Arrakis. Are we going to talk about the two things side by side, or are we going to talk about one then the other?
Well, you see, that was the thing, right? Because I said, if we're going to be talking about Lawrence of Arabia and the influence on the book Dune, you can't talk about Dune without
Frank Herbert actually said this, has he?
Yeah. Well, look, seriously, the bit where they're doing the whole guerrilla warfare against the Harkonnens to bring about the might of the Emperor and force a crux matter, all of that was literally just a case of, if I do this, they'll come. And that's what T. Lawrence did. He basically destroyed the Ottomans' infrastructure and investments in the Levant. To the point where I
found something that agrees with you, Hobbit, but it's Reddit.
Well, go on then.
But to me, it's just blatant. I'm rewatching Lawrence right now, and man, I hate people that write as if they're talking to you. Why do they write as if they're writing to you? Just screams Dune to me on so many levels.
Because they don't know how to write, mate. That's why.
Yeah, anyway, that's not really the input. But as I said above, Herbert discusses T. Lawrence acknowledgeably in a 1965 interview, without, however, explicitly acknowledging his story as an influence on Dune. Also, Don Stanley, editor at the San Francisco Examiner, where Frank Herbert worked, claimed repeatedly that the Seven Pillars of Wisdom was among the books Herbert picked up from the newspaper's collection as research for Dune.
So two things. Sabres of Paradise and The Adventures of T. Lawrence, which he wrote a book called The Seven Pillars of Wisdom. Both of those are because of
he wrote it twice. He did what's his name? John Smith, didn't he? He wrote it and then left it on a train or something.
What is this, Frank Herbert or T. Lawrence?
T. Lawrence wrote the 7 Pillars of Wisdom. I saw it somewhere while I was doing some research. He left it on a train in Reading, or he either left it in it's something to do with trains. It was either a waiting room in Reading, or he left it on a train in Reading.
Alphabet Cat's got it right. Spice is an analogy for oil, because without it, our modern world doesn't function, and likewise, the world of Dune doesn't function without spice, because you can't travel without it.
Well, it travels their vehicle. It powers their vehicles again. Yeah.
No, the vehicles are powered by magic, but in order to see through the magic, you've got to have mutants called navigators that breathe in spice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that gives them visions and prescience. Because, here's the thing, right? Frank Herbert really liked magic mushrooms, and he was believed the actual magic of magic mushrooms was contained in the blue spore. Could you have imagined
Frank Herbert talking to what's his name? Who's the
Russell Brand?
No, the other junkie who interviews people.
David Icke.
No, dude, Rogan. Could you imagine
Joe Rogan?
Yeah, could you imagine Rogan talking to Frank Herbert about fucking mushrooms?
Well, considering that Joe Rogan interviewed Donald Trump, I could well imagine Frank.
Oh, did I call him Frank Herbert? It's James Herbert.
What, the guy that wrote The Rats and
which one's the horror writer?
That's James Herbert.
Oh, James Herbert. Frank Herbert wrote Dune, yeah.
Oh, by the way,
did Frank Herbert use Old Spice? Dom says.
That is a very good question, and I don't know what the answer to that is.
Was Frank Herbert powered by Old Spice? Did he used to drink Old Spice? Is that where he's get drunk on Old Spice?
Well, you know what? I did just say magic mushrooms, but you know,
you'd have some visions if you were drinking Old Spice, wouldn't you?
Rama.
Don't be Rama, Frank. Don't drink the Old Spice.
No, he stuck to his magic mushrooms, and he believed the actual magic of magic mushrooms was the blue spores.
Right, the book where someone gets their dick cut off. I thought that was Jonah by who's that geezer? I've got some. Sean Hudson.
You're going to have to specify.
Oh, Sean Hudson wrote a book called Jonah, where some woman gets raped, but her baby is a mutant, so it rips the rapist's dick off.
Oh, that's nice. I was going to say, for the benefit of the audience, and the audience in this case being me, please give context, because I do not remember a dick-ripping scene.
Are you glad you got the context now, Hobbit?
Not particularly.
I think Ian's talking about a James Herbert book where someone gets their dick cut off, but the only dick cutting off scene is the one I remember from I think it's called Jonah by Sean Hudson.
I have read a few other books by James Herbert since then, and I thought, well, actually, these are all right. But I really
enjoyed 48. Have you read that one?
Is that the one about a haunted orphanage?
No, 48. 48 is the one where it's alt history, and Hitler at the end of World War II, instead of taking defeat gracefully, he decides to throw out like a chemical weapon that spreads all over Europe, and it turns everybody who hasn't got a really rare blood type into a zombie, and their blood's drying up. Oh, so
like the Samson option.
Yeah, so he does that, but what happens is like everyone's blood's drying up, so they all go around chasing the people with the rare blood type to drain them of their blood and get a transfusion.
Yeah, sounds reasonable. Why not?
Quite a good book that was. I quite enjoyed that.
So, now with
he's off again. Dom says, I'm sure James Herriot cut off a few dicks. Do you know who James Herriot is, Hobbit?
Look, if we're just going to be responding to questions all the time, I'm not going to be able to get a single point out.
Last one. James Herriot wrote All Creatures Great and Small. That's it. I'll stop now, Hobbit.
Right. So, James Herbert. My granddad's 9 years. I'm 9 years old, and my granddad says to me, "Oh, you must read this book by James Herbert. It's called Rats."
That's nice.
And I read it, and well,
and it had no effect on you whatsoever, Hobbit.
So at the time, I'm reading it, and I thought, God, this is really hard. I don't like this. This is horrible. And then I get to about 24 or 25, and I decide to read it again. It's like, was it as really bad as what I remember 16 years before? And I read it again, and I'm at the scene where there's like it's a mum, it's her baby, and it's a little Yorkshire Terrier, and the Yorkshire Terrier is trying to defend them. So can't the rats are? I think they actually, rather than kill the dog outright, they bite its legs off. So the dog's watching as they then go for the mother and the
Jesus
baby.
Christ.
Yeah, it's like, fuck me. I've never read or witnessed anything as horrific as that, and it's still. Again, I went on to read other James Herbert stuff. It's like, and unfortunately, I can say that's the worst thing I've ever read by anybody, and it's absolutely horrific. And I think I can well understand why that would never be put into. So, for those that have never read the Rats, there was.
Why do the rats go like that?
So there's a colony of intelligent, vicious rats from Papua New Guinea get imported on a ship because you know how rats like to climb on ships.
Yeah,
and then end up in.
They generally
England.
like eating dodos, don't they?
Well, so they end up getting offloaded in docks in London, and then they spread over the country, and they organise normal rats to be their slaves, and they have armies of rats, and they overtake people and like tear everything to pieces.
Beautiful.
And it's not nice. It's pretty horrible. And I really regret that but it's your fucking fault, and it's the audience's fucking fault for reminding me of it. So I just want to say fuck you to the both of you.
Yeah.
Now,
do you want to know about the book that fucked me up when I was a kid?
Go on then.
My uncle had a book called Slither. I never actually read it, but like the cover was fucking horrible. There's like a woman and she's got like a lizard crawling out of her eyeball. Is it a lizard or a slug? But and then I read the book years later, and it weren't particularly nice. It's basically like these man-eating slug things that come out of your taps and eat you. But the cover really fucking messed with me.
My uncle had the brand new Monty Python book.
Yeah.
And he forbade me from taking the dust cover off. And one day I did, and it was like, it's an orgy. And then it's quite a good book, by the way. But one of the pages inside it is masturbation, the difficult question. And he thought it's inappropriate me at 11 years old to be reading that.
So here you go. I found the image.
I'm not going to look at it.
Yeah,
is this our posthumous Halloween episode where we just talk about horrible things?
It seems to be worse. This is worse than the Halloween episode.
We're going to get an angry written letter from the audience saying,
"Yeah, look, there you go. There's the thing that upset me when I was a kid."
I was expecting a hard-hitting expose showing the links between the fictional world of June and the real-world activities of Lawrence of Arabia, also known as T. Lawrence, whose house is on Woodstock Road in Oxford.
Yeah.
And it's next to this school called St. Aloysius, which is still a school to this day.
Who is St. Aloysius?
I think he's not St. Francis of Assisi. I think he did go and heal sick animals.
Didn't St. Francis of Assisi say never give a sucker an even break?
I don't know about.
Oh, that's Red Dwarf. There's another Red Dwarf.
Aloysius de Gonzaga was an Italian aristocrat who became a member of the Society of Jesus. The Society of Jesus are the Jesuits. While still a student at the Roman College, he died as a result of caring for the victims of a serious epidemic.
Jesuit, eh?
Yeah. He was beatified in 1605 and canonized in 1726. Gonzaga was born the eldest of 8 children. And he grew up in the violence and intrigue of the Renaissance Italy. He was sent to Florence at the age of 8. So anyway, what did he do that made him a saint?
How did he die?
Religious.
Oh, did you know he's the patron saint of AIDS? Imagine that. Well, what did he die of? AIDS then? What did he...
Well, no, he was looking after plague victims, and he died of the plague. So
they just gave him AIDS then.
Well, you know what? Fair enough. He's a man that was born into wealth, and he decided for whatever reason to be a. He could have been a knight hospitalier.
Is he the patron saint of hard to spell names, Hobbit?
Yes, he is. He is. He could have been a knight hospitalier, but for whatever reason, he became a Jesuit. But I think his goals were pretty noble.
Even though he's the patron saint of AIDS, like imagine that you
do
all those good works in your life, and years later you just become the patron saint of AIDS.
Look, it's not his fucking fault that the politically aligned modern church has gone. We need a patron saint for AIDS. So apparently Saint Christopher doesn't exist, but we have got a patron saint of AIDS. I think there's actually a patron saint of tech support, like list of saints.
Isn't Saint Jude the patron saint of lost causes and coppers? Isn't he?
Right, list of saints listed. Christian saints since AD 300. This isn't. No, we can have their date of canonization. There we go. When were they canonized?
What's Mother Teresa the patron saint of flip flops?
We'll probably find out. I need to find the canonized.
Well, AIDS has been taken, so she can't have that one.
Right. So the most recent saint was Hildegard of Bingen, who died in 1179 AD. Was canonized on the 10th of May 2012.
Oh, yeah, that. What?
Yeah.
Took a long time. Did they lose the form or something?
I guess it took a while for them to. And
did it take a while for the paperwork to come through?
That's recognised in both the Anglican and Roman Catholic ones. Some are recognised by Oriental and Eastern Orthodox, but not by the true church. Gabriel Urgebadze, confessor in full for Christ. I like that there's actually a full for Christ's full, and he was canonised on the 20th of December 2012.
He's Christ's jester then, is he?
Yeah, and that's it for stuff in the 21st century. The next one was canonised in AD 921.
Hold on a minute. I thought Mother Teresa was canonised.
Yeah, but this list, it's not organised very well. It should be done for the sake of this. It really should be done year, month, day. But they've done it day, month, year. But at the same time, the formatting of this table on Wikipedia, it's not very good. Because I'm looking here and it's not giving me the information I want.
Why don't you give them a quid to encourage more fucking shit tables?
No, because fuck you. Get it right the first time.
How about you give the Guardian a quid so they can encourage your lack of existence?
Oh yeah, I'll totally get onto that, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. So I can organise them by date of death.
Yeah.
And then I can look at Pope John Paul II. He died 2005. Now he's sainted. Mother Teresa of Calcutta died 1997. Canonised in 2016.
Well, they're a bit quicker with that than the last one you read out, weren't they?
Yeah, well, she was well loved, wasn't she? She was beatified, St. Peter's Square. Yeah,
well, I've heard there's some bad things went on there, but I've never actually heard what happened. With
the bad things there, she told Indians to wash their stinky armpits.
No, I don't know. Everyone keeps going, "Oh, she was really bad." I don't know. So I assumed it was really bad.
Look, she had to deal with Indians. She wasn't.
Where is she from?
If
Anyway?
Princess Hungary. If Princess Diana didn't like her, she wouldn't be friends with her.
Hmm.
So you know, if you're saying that Princess Diana was a bad judge of character, by the way, she didn't have a choice of marrying Prince Charles.
She did have sex with Harry's dad, though, didn't she?
Well, again, like, you know, it's Mother Teresa. What they're saying against her, that's just a bunch of demonic prattle. Miracle and beatification. Right.
She did fuck her. She did fuck her sister's boyfriend. Who
Right,
became
so-
her husband.
Although he said we don't have to prove she was perfect and never made a mistake, he had to prove Mother Teresa's virtue was heroic. And so what's this? Oh, okay. So
Did
this
she eat
is
a lot of Indian street food? That's pretty heroic.
So-
it's either heroic or foolhardy. I'm not sure which one it is.
Father Brian Kordidachuk, who's a Canadian Catholic priest. Oh yeah, the famous Canadian surname of Kordidachuk.
Yeah.
That's Polish, let's face it. But anyway, Kordidachuk spent 76 documents totaling 35,000 pages.
Was he a bit of a
Well,
fan?
yeah,
Though,
somebody
was
must
he?
have a lot of time on their hands, which are based
Didn't
on
he be out
interviews with
blessing
100.
people and kissing babies or something?
And that was based on interviews with 113 witnesses who had asked to answer 263 questions. How on earth does 263 questions equal anyway? The process of
How on
canonization-
earth is he getting away with this when he should be working?
So what miracle did Mother Teresa do? Come on, the miracle. According to Bezra, a beam of light emanated from the picture.
I thought
So here we
she ate Indian street food. I thought that was the miracle.
In the 2002, the Vatican recognised as a miracle the healing of a tumour in the abdomen of Monica Bezra, an Indian woman, after the application of a locket containing Teresa's picture. According to Bezra, a beam of light emanated from the picture and the cancerous tumour was cured.
Oh, it was a really big poo. We're not quite sure which.
Right. So the miracle is the mere image of Mother Teresa cured a woman of it. So, well, fair enough. So,
Hobbit, we're
what?
getting
Oh, right.
well into the weeds on this one.
Well, yeah, but you know, it's going to be one of those episodes, isn't it?
I think
I'm still ill. I've got a fever. So T.E. Lawrence, who's not a saint, whose house was right next to St. Aloysius' school, St. Aloysius being the patron saint of AIDS.
Poor old Saint. I feel sorry for Saint Aloysius now. It's like some Saint Valentine's gets Valentine's Day. What does poor old Aloysius AIDS Day?
Do you know the funny thing about Valentine's Day is it's not even about like getting like Valentine's cards and other shit which you don't need. It's literally like it's the feast day of Saint Valentine's.
Because he had his heart cut out, didn't he? That's why it's. Didn't they cut his heart out? That's how they killed him, wasn't it?
How romantic! The ancient Aztec tradition of cutting someone's heart out, and offering it to your demon god, the one whose name, if you try and pronounce it, will cause you to have tongue lacerations. Yeah. It's like, oh look, that's literally demon guttural growling. Yeah, that's
shit,
nice, isn't it?
I watched a horror film the other day, and there was in thingy demons in it, but I can't remember what the film was at all.
Oh, did you see?
VHS. I watched VHS 1985, and it was one of the bits on there.
Yeah, just to give you right. I watch shit on YouTube, and Hemi watch like shit which people have put serious effort into producing.
You enjoyed every minute of the Nomad Chef Hobbit. Don't lie.
I am a shit entertainment snob, and I'm saying my shit entertainment's better than Emmy's shit entertainment. So,
to be fair, Hobbit, I did pick it. I thought, what's going to annoy Hobbit the most? I thought it's going to be this one. That's why I put. I've never watched that program before or since.
Right, so Hemming's got access to all this premium content, right, which you got to pay like a substantial monthly fee for. And I said, why don't we watch Tidying Up with Marie Kondo? I'd like to watch that. I've never seen it, you see, but I've seen clips from it and I thought, well, you know, this is like a Japanese version of How Clean Is Your House? And I enjoyed that show. And Hemming was just like, nah, we're watching VHS, fam. And it's not even VHS, it's got all these digital artifacts on it.
That was
really
one of the
pissed
later,
me off.
That was one of the later ones where it's GoPro, fam.
Well,
but who's going to watch VHS? Who's going to watch VHS when they call it GoPro?
Or when they just call it digital media.
Yeah, digital media. Like, no one's going to shit their pants if they find a digital media in an attic somewhere, are they?
Or I don't know. It could be like, hey, look, I found this really old MP4 clip of your granddad when he's sticking a dildo in his ass. You know, that's going to be like horror stories for the 2050s, like found footage of your
What's this
family,
file called, Granddad? It's called Two Girls, One Cup.
It's the horror of the 2050s is going to be, we found the archive of your OnlyFans, Granddad. Yeah. Why did you do that? Well, Grandmama.
Yeah.
God, that's going to be a fun conversation to have.
Oh God,
with you.
you know that woman that's been on the internet recently because she had sex with 100 men in a night, and she's going to go for 1,000. Like,
well, is she trying to? Yeah, but also that's like the. There was some whore on the internet back in the early 2000s.
Should we just call this crap dystopia? We'll just carry on talking what we're talking about.
Just rename the show, because look, I do want to talk about T. Lawrence, but
it's not happening,
the fever is just T. Lawrence will have to wait. Okay, so back in the early 2000s, there was this woman, and I think she was called like Dallas, and it's like the Dallas 600 or something. And it's like her goal was like, I'm gonna make like 600 men come in one night, and I think she got in the Guinness Book of Records for it.
We've got a new title. It's called VHS Fortean.
It's not VHS and it's not 14, but it's what you're gonna get. It's what you. Oh, I don't want to look at that sliver thing. That's horrible.
Yeah, do you want me to take that down? I told you
please.
I told you it creeped me out, didn't I?
Well, it creeps me out too.
Yeah,
So,
but imagine you were about fucking 6 or 8 or something, and you saw that book cover.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, imagine being 9 years old and reading the Rat. Imagine being 25 years old and reading Rats.
Yeah.
Imagine being like a real life.
Imagine being over 40 and reading Rats.
Yeah. Well,
it sounds pretty.
It's a real life.
I've got the Fog, but I haven't quite got around to reading it yet. I don't think I'm going to start if the Rats is anything to go by. Because you know what the book by James Herbert, The Fog's about, don't you?
No.
It's about a fog that's full of crazy people who broke out of an asylum.
Oh, is that the one I read?
Yeah. You've already read it then, have you?
That one, yeah, if it's about the asylum, then I've read it, and it's actually it's quite good. So I can say that's the thing, right? Frank Herbert, James Herbert, quite good. Can recommend him. It's just some of the stuff he does is a bit hard going, right? And I just got to say, like, if you've never read it before and you're going to read it, I do recommend.
Ian thinks the Fog is the dick cutting one.
I'm not sure. Again, it's been wow. I don't want to dox my age, but it's been more than 15 years since I read The Fog, so details are a bit sketchy.
Yeah, is it Sean Hudson? He did some good books. Relic, where it's just like Celtic demons and things like that, and with bizarre farming experiments. That's what the baby mutant thing I was telling you about. It's where they're it's some sort of farming chemical company where they've made this hormone that really fucks things up.
Yeah.
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 Some school kids get affected by the fog, then cut their teachers. Who wrote that? Stephen King?
That sounds like a Stephen King thing, yeah.
Yeah. Kids touching dicks. Stephen King likes to write about that, doesn't he?
Well, it's like, so anyway, here's the bit in my book where children get, what's the word I have to use on YouTube? We can't say great.
Just stop it there. I thought the fog was about pirates. Yeah. No, that's the fog, the film.
Yeah. Yeah, James Herbert is... Hey, Hobbit, why don't we do an episode about James Herbert? So anyway, there's this guy called Frank Herbert who based a lot of his stuff on T. Lawrence and the 7 Pillars of Wisdom.
Oh, confirmed, the headmaster gets his dick cut off. It's vitally important that we know all the facts about a guy that gets his dick cut off in a book. Obviously, it's the number one subject on the chat's mind, Hobbit. I
can imagine a screaming row with his editor, and he says, "I will refuse to give you the rest of my manuscript if you do not. This has to be kept into the book.
The dick cutting scene stays in, or else."
It's like, I will never work with you again. This is important to my time. It's a bit like when Jean-Luc Besson was... Oh, dear. Right, by the way, I really do like the films by Jean-Luc Besson, but I'm glad that cooler heads managed to convince him to say, look, you can't have Nicole Kidman with having a sex scene with Jean Reno. I know you think it's important.
No, that really does. I think that'd pull you right out of that film because you're going, there's no way she's going to have sex with John Reno normally.
Well, I mean, even in the extended cut, there's that.
No, you're talking about you don't mean Nicole Kidman. You mean Natalie Portman.
Oh.
For a moment, I thought you were talking about some other film, but yeah, I know what you're talking about. No, you mean Natalie Portman.
Yeah. Leon, Leon.
I was thinking of actually Nicole Kidman having sex with that, and that would be weird enough.
Oh, Natalie Portman, Nicole Kidman. You know how good I am when it comes to names.
Yeah.
So anyway, Frank Herbert wrote this book called The Rats.
But he's like, well, as long as we can have her playing footsie with him instead, will that do?
Do you know what I don't get about my I mean, bless him, he's dead now. So I'm like, I just want everyone to know I really do love and miss my granddad. But so
he was a very sensitive horror books. Like I don't know what it was. Grandparents. I don't know what his grandparents are trying to creep their grandkids out.
He was a very sensitive man. He was the one that convinced my family to get cats. That none of them were interested in cats, but he insisted on having them, so they had them. And he was the sort of man that if he was bringing logs in for the fire, he would take the logs and bash them together to dislodge the wood lice.
Yeah,
and I must admit, I do the same thing to this day.
The wood lice pop when you put them on the fire. Then,
well, I wouldn't know because I don't let them go in the fire.
Okay.
You know, I'd rather they be eaten by hedgehogs. That's a nice way of dying, just being crunched on, rather than being burnt alive. Yeah, you know, the hedgehog.
Is Starmer going to come in and start stamping on people's pet hedgehogs? Is he going to take a leaf out of Kamala's book?
He saw how popular squirrel execution was in America and thought, we need to do that over here.
Yeah, we need to find a cute woodland creature to murder.
Yeah, he's just like, what woodland creatures can we... Maybe he'll start doing badgers, I don't know. He'll find something that people love.
With nails in it, and he'll televise it.
Well, maybe he'll say it's okay to do haram slaughter of foxes or something, you know, just... but so hedgehogs, foxes, wood lice. Right, my granddad was a sweet old man, wouldn't harm wood lice on logs, but yet at the same time, it's like, hey, Hobbit, my grandson, You should read The Rats. You're 9 years old. You're a man now.
Yeah.
You should read this.
You're a man now,
Yep.
Harry.
Yeah. You're a man now, Hobbit. Read this book. It'll do you good. You'll enjoy it. And I even remember at the time... Well, it was even like it's
read this. Hey, read this book, grandson. It's a fun romp.
And it's like, I know you're 9 years old, and therefore your spelling might not be top notch. So Herbert, James Herbert. Think of Sherbert minus the S at the beginning.
Yeah.
Look for H for Herbert in the library. And to be fair, I went to the public library. I said, "Oh, can you show me where the books by James Herbert are?" And the librarian, being like, a librarian, was like, "Yep, here they are." I was like, "Great." 9 years old, by the way. No, I don't think that's got material appropriate for your stuff. But to be fair,
my school library had loads of books on ghosts and shit.
This is probably not the first time it's happened either, because there's like, when I was, what's it called? So I used to be, right, we're going to get doxy now.
Yeah.
I used to be, when my mum and dad were working full time, I was raised by a nanny, and she was a Cantonese lady. So she had a daughter, quite pretty, very intelligent, and she was reading Lady Chatterley's Lover. And she was about, I don't know, 6 or 7 at the time, so a bit older than myself. She was a bit older than myself. Well, like I said, she was well read and quite intelligent. And
that's written by another. Who wrote that book? Is that D.H. Lawrence? That's another Lawrence, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, well, there you go. So it is pertinent to tonight's subject. Yeah,
it's just like
let's talking about people with the name Lawrence.
I'm pretty sure it's D.H. Lawrence, isn't it?
Whatever happened to that guy? The
Alphabet
MDF
Cat says a Cantonese Mary Poppins raised Hobbit.
Yes, and her daughter was reading Lady Chatterley's Lover.
Oh, this is spooky. Dom read The Hobbit when he was 9.
So, wow, that is Fortean.
Spooky.
So the nanny, whose name will be not mentioned because one, it's like incredibly doxy, as I think she's the only one with this name in Oxford.
Yeah.
But she goes to my dad and said, my daughter reading Lady Chatterley Lover. That's how she spoke, by the way.
D.H. Lawrence, yeah. D.H. Lawrence spelled exactly the same as T.E. Lawrence.
Yeah, there you go. So
that was a woman that wrote that, weren't it? That's why it was called D.H. Lawrence, not a name.
Yeah, that was like her pen name. And she's like, my daughter reading Lady Chatterley Lover. Is that appropriate? And my dad was like, who knew about, I've never read it, by the way, said, well, normally no, but as it's your daughter, yes. And then Nanny goes, it was a case of normally it wouldn't be, but she's intelligent, then yes.
How about fucking no, she's a child. She shouldn't be reading about a woman humping a gardener.
Look, I've probably like misquoting it because this was told to me years and years ago.
I do hope you are.
But
just next time your dad say, Dad, did you approve of the nanny's daughter reading Lady Chatterley's Lover?
It was probably a case of, well, she was going to read it anyway. So what were you going to do? Just say to her no, and then she's going to read it even more.
Like the old council birds do when they go, I can't watch it 24 hours a day, can I?
Oh, what? I can't read that in English. I can't read English.
Yeah.
It's like, meanwhile, your daughter's there reading like classical English literature at 6 years old.
I can just, like the council house women do when they go, when they go, yeah, look, love, what do you think the fact your son has murdered 15 people, all children? Well, I can't watch him 24 hours a day. It's not my fault, is it? It's the school, isn't it? Just seems like a bit that sort of situation.
I think I was having a similar conversation with Mrs. I was going to say Mrs. Hobbit, Mrs. Hemmy, about the fact that these kids should not be at school. But the mum's like, no, I've had my little shit for long enough. It's your problem now.
Yeah.
You know, they want so they can watch their daytime TV in peace.
Yeah, poor old Rip Jeremy Kyle show. I'm convinced he'd had enough of doing that anyway. He let it go too easy, didn't he?
Yeah, but there was that thing in his memoirs about I lick my golf balls clean.
Who does?
So you've got your golf balls which have been on the golf course. Yeah, Jeremy Kyle picks up his golf balls and licks them clean.
Okay.
I mean, I like the guy decided I'm going to publish in my memoir, so I don't care if it's fact or fiction. The fact is, the guy decided to print it.
Yeah. All the news that's fit to print.
Yeah, and it's like, well, like, hey, this will fuck with people. I'll tell them I'll lick my own golf balls.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna read the memoirs of Jeremy Kyle, but it's there if you want to read it. And Jeremy Kyle probably was jealous of T. Lauren.
Thumbs off on when he said James Herbert's rats read a Cantonese Mary Poppins book when they were 9.
yeah, that's yeah, okay. Oh. So is Lady Chatterley's Love really bad? Is it like 120 Days of Sodom?
It's not that bad, but I think there's a lot of graphic humping going on.
I'm going to fuck you up the arse.
Yeah, it's not massively like. Hold on, let's have a look at see what the Wikipedia says.
Darcy, you shouldn't say things like you're going to fuck me up the arse.
Sean Bean was in the TV version, weren't he?
Hey, love, I'm going to fuck you up the arse. I'm Sean Bean. I'm Lady Chatterley's lover. Hey, Mr. Darcy.
No, there was a British obscenity trial. November 1960, the full unexpurgated edition. The last of 3 versions written by Lawrence was published by Penguin Books in Britain, selling its first print run of 200,000 copies on the first day of publication. The trial of Penguin under the Obscene Publications Act 1959 was a major public event and a test of the new obscenity law. The 59 Act, introduced by Roy Jenkins, had made it possible for publishers to escape conviction if they could show a work was of literary merit. One of the objections was the frequent use of the word fuck and its derivatives. Another objection related to the word cunt.
Right.
You still think it's a good idea that this girl read this book?
I've misremembered it. She wasn't 6 or 7. She was 15.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a bit more of a grey area then, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of weird though. I mean, I was about 6 or 7, but I fancied her. She was quite pretty, as Chinese.
So, various academic critics and experts of diverse kinds, the original kind of diverse, as in different, Ian Forster, Helen Gardner, Richard Hoggart, Raymond Williams, and Norman St John Stevas. I think wasn't he a politician, St John Stevas?
Oh.
Yeah, Conservative politician. Were called as witnesses. The verdict, delivered on 2nd November 1960, was not guilty and resulted in a far greater degree of freedom for publishing explicit material in the United Kingdom. Yay! Now women can sell the butthole on OnlyFans. Aren't you glad they won this case, Hobbit?
You know what? Freedom of speech means buttholes for £5 a month.
Yeah.
Isn't it great that basically like women have whored themselves out for less than the price of a cheeseburger?
Yeah. The verdict delivered
to my local burger.
How about this one then, Hobbit?
Like a cheeseburger's £5.50 now, so you can't even get a cheeseburger. Like I can see a picture of a woman's butthole for less than the price of a cheeseburger now.
The prosecution was ridiculed for being, you're just out of touch, you're so insecure, etc., etc.
I'm out of touch. I'm out of time. I don't care about women's butthole vaginas.
With changing social norms, when the chief prosecutor, Mervyn Griffiths-Jones, said, is it the kind of book you would wish your wife or servants to read? Based. Fucking dabbing on those poor people.
I love that, how out of touch that is. But, you know, the other thing that... I actually agree with this stuff. It is obscene, and it should just be accepted. Like I think somebody mentioned earlier on the chat, it is pornography. I mean, the other bit. This is another thing, right?
Oh shit! Hold on a
pornography.
sec. The ban by Department of Customs and Excise on Lady Chatterley Lover, along with 3 other books, Borstal Boy, I don't even want to know what happens in that. Confessions of a Spent Youth, don't know anything about that. But the third one, Lolita, was lifted in July 1965.
Yeah,
I think everybody knows what Lolita's about, don't they?
Yeah, the less said about that, but the better. But no, there was so right. I'm going to do this bit of saying it's not fair double standards much. So men watch pornography. It's disgusting. It's exploitative, and it should be repressed and made seedy. Women watch pornography. Oh, it's liberating. It's empowering. Here's 50 Shades of sadomasochism.
Oh, you forgot about objectifying the woman as well.
Yeah, that too. Well, I did say it's objectifying. And so here's 50 Shades of sadomasochism, and it's prominently displayed on bookshelves in Sainsbury's. And I found that really fucking galling because, occasionally you get tripe that's on cardboard stands in supermarkets. Like My Life by Wayne Rooney or something like that.
Yeah.
Or it's
to be fair, that should be censored as well and burnt.
Well, or it's the latest celebrity chef recipe book. It's the sort of stuff you go, "What? Oh, I'll get that."
The book accompanying the series Nomad Chef. You mean that book?
Well, it's the sort of book you get someone as a Christmas present. Gone, well, you all said you want to read more.
I believe they call it a coffee table edition, isn't it? Because the coffee table edition is the one they leave on the coffee table to kind of dab on people.
Yeah. Is it? Oh, I suppose it is, isn't it? It's like, look what I've got on my coffee table. See what?
And of course there was a 1955 French film version.
Yeah, well, that's the French for you. They're always, they like to be transgressive when it comes to that stuff. So, I don't like how it's okay for when women decide they all want some pornography, they get it, and it's there in full public view of children and everybody.
Hobbit. In 1964, the bookseller Randish Udeshi in Bombay was prosecuted under Section 292 of the Indian Penal Code. Sale of obscene books for selling an unexpurgated copy of Lady Chatterley's Lover.
So he punished because was selling a uncensored version. Is that fancy word you used, and that means uncensored, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't understand big people, but just look, talk to me like I'm Katie Price, okay, and then things will be better. Because
did you know Lady Chatterley's Lover had a cultural influence in the United States? Blah blah blah. No, so 1965, it pretty much got unbanned everywhere. Tom Lehrer recorded a satirical song called "Smut," in which the speaker in the song lyrics cheerfully acknowledges the enjoyment of such material. Who needs hobby like tennis or philately? I've got I'll be rereading Lady Chatterley.
That's like, I'm trying to think of like the modern Reddit version of that, where it's like, I'm not interested in NASCAR. I just shove a dildo in my ass.
British poet Philip Larkin's poem Annus Mirabilis begins with a reference to the trial. Sexual intercourse began in 1960. Go on then.
Don't you mean the Anus Horribilis?
Yeah.
Sorry, that's a Viz title. Yeah.
Well, you get a lot of Anus Horribilises on OnlyFans, don't you, a bit?
Well, yeah, but there's a famous Anus Horribilis was Goatsy.
Sexual intercourse began in 1963, which was rather late for me, between the end of the Chatterley ban and the Beatles' first LP. Did you like that, Hobbit?
I don't think this episode's going to be monetized somehow.
Yeah, I don't think so. Are you allowed to say butthole on YouTube?
Okay, so I identify as non-binary, as in I'm not going to buy certain games. and therefore it's okay for me to talk about LGBT issues because non-binary is part of the LGBT thing, right? I mean,
how about this one then? In the 1998 film Pleasantville, a film that narrativizes conservative cultural nostalgia for 1950s as a response to the sexual revolution of the 1960s, Jennifer, played by Reese Witherspoon, reads Lady Chatterley's lover as a principal part of her character development, causing her to become coloured, the film's metaphor for personal growth and transformation.
I just... just so T. Lawrence, right?
Yeah.
Who was this bloke who was born and raised in Oxford?
We've given up. I've changed the episode title.
So he was well known for being in close proximity to people that read Lady Chatterley's Lover, and was remarked upon saying, "Oh, don't bring that fucking book into it. I'm off on my motorcycle."
Yeah. Yeah, Sean Bean and Jolie Richardson were in the BBC version.
You know, I told my mate to listen to tonight's one because we're going to be talking about T. Lawrence, and
he said it's a porno book. Now he's going to hear us talking about Lady Chatterley's Lover for a half hour.
Well, it's going to be like I said to him, and he says, "Oh, you're going to mention the Bruff Superior?" And it's like, yeah, I haven't even gotten to the Bruff Superior.
I don't think we're going to Hobbit. We're an hour in.
It's just no. This is the Anus Horribilis.
This is VHS Fortean.
Oh God! just you know.
So what? Look, anyway, what other books? We might as well do a fucking book review now because we're doing book reviews.
In the words of Roy Chubby Brown, you bought the fucking ticket. Now fuck off.
Yeah. Anybody who's offended by this stuff, fuck off.
Yeah, it's like no refunds. You know what you came in for. Yeah.
Oh, they've done another version of Lady Chatterley's Brother with him off of Game of Thrones in it. One of the Starks. I'm not sure which one, but he's in it.
Well, that was Sean Bean. Why didn't they say?
No, you know, Sean. The other Stark, one of the little Starks, Robb Stark, I think.
Well, is this just like a rite of passage now? It's like, oh, I've got to do Lady Chatterley's now.
Winter's coming, Lady Chatterley. Wrap up.
Is Jon Snow going to be Lady Chatterley's love?
You know nothing, Jon Snow. Just lay back.
I'll do Jon Snow. I'm going to teach you how to take up the bum. But you're a lady. Yeah. And I've got this dragon dildo. And then, you know, the Game of Thrones theme tune plays.
Oh, of course it's on Netflix.
Poppy wiener, wiener. Do you remember when South Park did the parody of the Game of Thrones?
There's another one. There's another version of it with Jack O'Connell in it. You know, the little scrote.
Is this just like a thing? Like, you know, there's multiple like porn parodies of certain films.
Yeah, I think
they just do. Is it like a studio tax write-off where they're like, look, we need to do a film. Let's just do Lady Chatterley's Lover.
Yeah, no one's going to watch it.
We know it's going to be a box office flop because of it's Lady Chatterley's Lover.
Oh, there was a 1981 version with Sylvia Crystal in it. She was in the Emmanuel films, weren't she?
I quite liked Emmanuel.
Did you like Carry On, Emmanuel?
No, I didn't actually. I got really offended by that one.
You got offended? Not so you get offended by Carry On Columbus. That is really offensive. That is.
You see, Carry On Emmanuel was like, hey, you know the reason you watch this film? What if we removed that reason from it? And then just had a laugh at you for 2 hours going, you thought you were going to see some tits? Yeah. No. Here's a strategically placed bit of sailcloth just floating in the wind right at the right time. No, that offended
One of my
me.
favourite pulp horror books is a book called, I think it's called Day Thirst. So what happens, it's in Los Angeles and this really powerful vampire creates this spell where he whips up a big sandstorm so it blots out the sun so then they can go carry on and do their bit. It's like 30 Days a Night, but like from the 70s, like way before 30 Days a Night.
Yeah.
Oh, Carry On Emmanuel ended the franchise until Carry On Columbus. And then Carry On Columbus ended it for good. Was there a Carry On version of
120 Days of Sodom? Right.
I don't know anything about the 120 Days of Sodom, and I'm perfectly happy about that.
I have to tell you one bit. This is horror, right? This is not on par with like rats eating children and dogs.
Yeah.
But right, so brace yourself. Okay, 120 Days of Sodom. So there's this bit in the script where it says the actresses have to eat poo, and the actress is like, "Well, I'm not actually doing that because we're Italian, not Indian."
Yeah.
So the prop department's like, "Can you make some realistic looking poo out of food, please?" And I think they used a mixture of digestive biscuits, butter, and cocoa powder. And I've seen the clip, and I mean, yeah, it looks like they're eating poo. So well done, prop department.
What would you? So what is it? That's a film of a book by the Marquis de Sade, isn't it?
I think the film is actually some Italian lefties going, "Oh, it was terrible when Mussolini was in power." So anyway, let's do this fictionalized telling of when some fascists took these women and sodomized them for 120 days.
Oh, okay.
And really, they're trying to say it was like some bold political statement. Really, it's just a case of, let's get these girls in. And it's not prostitution when we say we're going to make a film.
Yeah, it's not prostitution when it's porno.
I really like how you can get around prostitution things by having a camera in there and saying, well, we're making a film, actually. These are actresses. So, you know what? I wish I could actually... I know an Italian. Then again, they are a bit thick, so they probably wouldn't be much help. We could probably do some Fortean stuff on Italian culture I don't appreciate you.
Yeah.
Because there was that Italian artist who did the artist shit. Do you remember that one?
Where like Tracy
there's like... No, it's literally cans of his poo.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they sold for auction, I think, 31,000 euros each.
It's even worse than that. Did you know you can actually buy poo for art supplies?
Yeah, and there was that thing on Eurotrash about the guy who paints with using shit as his pigment. I think he was a Belgian artist. Ian, Dom, do you know the episode I'm on about? There's this... and they got when they were dubbing it, they said, well, people say my art's a piece of shit, and I could say to them truthfully, yes, it is.
Oh yeah,
you know the one
Manzoni. His name is that guy.
Oh, the artist shit, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't remember this. But anyway, the thing is they are watercolors, and he is a competent artist. It's just he made a bit of fame for himself by using cow poo as his pigment.
Hobbit, do you want 11 examples of excellent excrement art?
The Italians did Cannibal Holocaust. Have you seen that film? You know about it, Hemi?
Film. I'm pretty sure that they actually murdered someone during that.
What, Cannibal Holocaust?
That bit when they cut that bloke... Again, we're back with a fucking dick cutting off. When they cut that bloke's dick off, that looks too real. There's no cutaway. There's no nothing, is there? And it don't look rubber to me.
Have I actually seen... I might have seen that. Do you know what? It's one of those memories I've tried to push out of my mind, and now yeah, this is basically the Halloween episode. Look, I'm sorry, but Halloween came a week later.
This is the Halloween scat episode.
this is the true, like, Hobbit House of Horrors episode. Where Hobbit talks about repressed memories that has been brought up for some reason. Lady Chatley's lover, rats, Cannibal Holocaust. Oh, God. I feel really uncomfortable now for some reason. Strange that.
Yeah, this has been a really nice episode.
It has, hasn't it? Well, you know what? I'm glad I actually felt up to doing an episode today, because it was a bit off and on, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think this is up there with the Twins episode, isn't it?
It's that was. I think the only time I've said, "Can we stop this now?" was with Dennis Nielsen. But the twins
To be
one,
fair, didn't you say the twins? I think we've all had enough now. I'm pretty sure that one of the last lines that you said on the twins episode was, "I think we've all had enough now."
I could imagine saying that if it wasn't me, it was you who said it. But I'd have been, and I would have quickly said yes.
I was honestly feeling queasy while I was reading that stuff out about those twins.
Oh, I mean, it's horrible shit. It's not nice. Yeah.
And nobody, not the UN, nobody has thought to have a look into this stuff and find out why it's like that.
Well, the best the UN's done is said, look, we know India's fucked up. So they made that campaign to try and encourage people to poo in the loo.
Yeah.
Because they understood that, okay, the co-sanguination relationship's not as much of an issue as it is in Pakistan. That's why they say Pakistan is the happiest country on earth, because everyone, treats each other like family and keeps it in the family. But in India, the serious problem they have is waterborne diseases like cholera, because they just refuse to stop shitting everywhere, and then it contaminates groundwater.
It's the Ganges. The Ganges is one of their main sources of water, isn't it?
How can you say the Ganges is holy and venerated, and yet treat it worse than Thames Water treats their sewage plants?
Well, how Thames Water treats our rivers. And there's that weird Hindu sect. You know, the ones that pull the dead bodies that have been floating down the Ganges and eat them. You know about the cannibal Hindu sect?
Well, it was a story, right? And this is where Community Notes goes like, oh, well, thanks. So there's this feature on Twitter, now called X, called Community Notes, where if somebody posts something that's factually incorrect, readers will provide context. And so there was this article saying, this is a grave site in Pakistan, and the remains of this family's daughter have been padlocked so locals don't desecrate her corpse to rape it, basically. And then the community note said, this is untrue. This is actually a gravesite in India, not Pakistan. I was like, oh, okay, thanks. I was hoping you were saying, no, rape of corpses doesn't occur. No, it's just, no, you got the country wrong. That was the community fact check on that. The misinformation was the country.
So the Agori are a monastic order of ascetic Shaivite sadhus based in Uttar Pradesh. Is Uttar Pradesh India's Florida?
Is that the sect that Brutus joined?
Probably. They're the only surviving sect derived from the Kapalika tradition, a tantric, non-Puranic form of Shaivism which originated in the medieval India between the 4th and 8th century CE, Christ's era. Similarly to their Shaivite predecessors, Agoris usually engage in post-mortem rituals, often dwell in charnel grounds, smear cremation ashes on their bodies, and use bones from human corpses for crafting kapala, skull cups, which Shiva and other Hindu deities are often iconically depicted holding or using, and jewellery. They also practice post-mortem cannibalism, eating flesh from foraged human corpses, including those taken from cremation ghats. Their practices are sometimes considered contradictory.
What's a ghat?
Ghat.
I assume that's like a Hindu word for pyre.
So, cremation ghats, where bodies are cremated waterside, allowing ashes to be washed away by rivers. So obviously, the unburnt bits. I think they must set the body on fire and then just fuck off. And then these go, oh look, a free long pig.
So it's a bit like a Viking burial. They burn the boat, the corpse.
Except someone comes and eats what's left over.
It's good. Oh, that smells tasty. I'll have a bit of that.
I like a bit of long pig. You know that's what the pygmies used to call people, didn't they? Long pigs.
Oh, yeah, but also the cannibals in, was it Papua New Guinea?
Oh, is that what it is? I thought it was the pygmies. Because the pygmies are an actual tribe, aren't they?
Yeah, but they call them long pig because they're like pig, but longer.
Yeah, it tastes the same. The practices are sometimes considered contradictory to Orthodox Hinduism. You reckon?
Really? You
Maybe?
don't say. Cannibalism. Yeah, but the thing is, Hinduism is all devil worship. I mean, they literally venerate demons that parade around with like bit severed heads and stamp a bit.
What's the one? Is it Kali? Is the goddess the death goddess?
It is one of the lesser known Hindu deities, right? So this Hindu deity is a building which people lift up, and then occasionally they lose their strength. Because, holding up something for a long period of time, your leg's gonna go weak, right? And then the building crushes you, and it seems an honour to be crushed by this building. So all those stuff where Indians get like crushed by trains and stuff.
Well, they do that with the workshops, don't they? The workshops in India,
Yeah.
the workshops that collapse. They're working away in the workshops, the workshops, and then the workshop collapses on them.
Those Indians, when they're stirring stuff in the workshops with the flames and the electricity in the workshops, they do work in those workshops.
And then it just collapses
where they're all sat down and they're cutting bits of meat with a knife held in their feet in the workshops.
Yeah.
And they're serving...
And then they're doing the toffee on a nail on a bare brick wall.
Yeah, they're serving food on a bit of floor that they've washed with some Ganges water in the workshops.
Well, that gives the was it the Yanks do the seawater toffee? Is that they do the Ganges toffee, don't they, in America?
Yeah, that's it. In Diarrhea Village, very popular.
Village. I mean, that's pretty. Do you want to tell everybody about Diarrhea Village, because that's very Fortean, right? Isn't it?
There's a very famous village in India known as Diarrhea Village, where delicious Indian cuisine is served, and the street vendors have affectionate names like the intestinal impactor, the appendix abuser, the stomach strangler, and they serve all this food. And often this food is prepared using holy Ganges water, and it's literally just like, I have had I'm sorry, but when one's ill and you poo out the rusty radiator water. I've pooed out water that looks cleaner than this stuff they're putting into their food. It's bad. And it's like, that's why nobody in Diarrhea Village in India suffers constipation. They're very keen to make sure you're regular. And if you've got an impacted bowel there, one delicious sip of this soup or whatever they're serving, and you won't be impacted much longer. You'll be fine.
Everybody in that village has got a colon so clean you can see your face in.
Their colons are so squeaky clean that they whistle.
Beautiful colons, beautiful spotless colons.
The best colons. The colons are they got huge colons. They're great. They're really great.
So anyway, their practices are sometimes considered contradictory to Orthodox Hinduism. What? Many Agori Gugus command great reverence from rural populations who are widely referred to in medieval and modern works of Indian literature as they are supposed to possess healing powers gained through their intensely aromatic rites. Aromatic? What does that fucking mean? Aromatic?
Aromatic, right?
No, they're hermits. So hermits are also known as eremites. You ever heard that one before, Hobbit?
Nah. I just thought they were talking to aromatic rites of like spreading cow dung on your armpits.
Actually, talking about these laws reminded me of a creepypasta. It's not a creepypasta, but it's a story I heard the other day. Woman goes to the doctor. She has a one night stand. Goes to the doctor because things ain't quite right downstairs. Gets called in by the doctor, so she starts going, "Oh fuck, what's gone on here?" She said, "Yeah, the bloke you slept with the other day. He's got a sexually transmitted disease you can only get from corpses."
So yeah, Lady Chatley's lover.
Anyway, the beliefs and do you not want to know about the beliefs and practices of the Agoris?
Oh boy, do I ever!
Yeah. Agoris are Hindu devotees of Shiva, manifested as Bhairava. So Bhairava is that's the cow god.
You know when they say all cultures are equal?
This is equal.
Yes.
This is equal to going down the church and having a bit of the old bread and wine.
You know what? I just realised we're on YouTube, so I'm going to say all cultures are equal. #valid.
Yes. And ascetics who seek liberation from endless cycle of birth, death, rebirth. Well, it does get a bit boring, the old birth, death, rebirth cycle, doesn't it?
You don't have to do that. If you believe in Jesus Christ, you will live it.
Well, not quite, Hobbit, because this freedom is attained through the knowledge that the self is identical to the eternal and formless metaphysical absolute called Brahman. Because of their monistic doctrine, the Agoris maintain that all opposites are ultimately illusory. The purpose of embracing intoxicant substances, pollution, and physical degradation through various tantric rituals and customs is the realisation of non-duality.
This sounds like demonic cope. This sounds like schizophrenic babble, demonic cope. Take your pick. I've heard enough schizophrenics in my time to know when I'm being bamboozled. Like you know when schizophrenics go yap, and they think everybody thinks that what they got to say is really important. If you want an example that schizophrenic thinks really important, there's a chat called The Cube. You can go there, but I suggest you don't.
Yeah.
And there's a guy in there called Jack, and he'll just like constantly be making like voice notes, videos. He thinks he's the centre of the fucking universe. I think the correct
way to determine them is pronouncements. I think that's the way to describe them.
Yeah, that's it. And just like other sort of schizophrenics, he thinks he's like the most important thing in the world. I mean, it would be very similar to another schizophrenic called Ian Fortean. I'm not sure if you're aware of him. You heard about Ian Fortean?
No.
He's this Canadian schizophrenic, and he talks about how he's like incredible and he's done all this work with software and everything else, and he's like literally done like miracles for medicine and all these other things that which he's got no proof for, by the way, because like all schizophrenics, he's full of shit. And
he's the poor man's Terry. What's his name?
He's like Terry Davis without the talent.
Yeah.
Yeah, and recently he's been in Canadian news because he assaulted a woman, and I hope it's not sexually assaulted. It's either way, it's pretty bad, and this sort of it kind of underlines all he's been saying previously, because he was commissioning the rape and murder of his daughter because she flipped him the bird. He was going into quite graphic detail about the horrible things that should be done.
Speaking of commissioning murders of loved ones, have you seen Patrick S. Tomlinson has given his thoughts about Trump winning the election?
Is that the guy on the royal family?
He's stalker child. Stalker child. You're going to prison, stalker child. Do you know him?
What? No, I never watched that's the one with Caroline Ahern, and I don't remember his name.
No, Patrick S. You're thinking of Tom. What's his name? I can't remember.
Ricky Tomlinson. Yeah.
I wonder if he's related to Connor Tomlinson.
Hey, we should ask him.
Yeah.
Are you related to Ricky Tomlinson? You know, that bloke that was on the royal family. Is that you?
It was a communist. It was communist union man.
Wow, you're telling me that? Well, wasn't he homeless for a while?
And Scouse.
What, a homeless Scouse that ended up communist?
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought.
It's like the jokes write themselves.
Anyway, Hobbit, I'm not. You're just not taking the Agoris seriously.
No, it's funny how I'm not showing the Agoris any respect that they deserve.
Anyway,
no, I am
Hobbit,
showing them the respect they deserve. That's
Hobbit,
my point.
They want to transcending social taboos, attaining what
Oh,
is
sorry.
essentially an
Let's
altered
listen
state
about
of consciousness, and perceiving the illusory nature of all conventional categories. Is this a bit like? Is this a bit like they them's?
Look, it's bad enough listening to this shit from Brutus and going like, "Oh, okay, yeah, let's." It's it's like, well, come on, I take your belief seriously. Like, yeah, you take my belief seriously because Jesus Christ is the Son of God. He is God incarnate. That's why you take it seriously, because you know it is the one true faith.
Hobbit, Hobbit. You know what you were saying about Agoris sounding like schizophrenics?
Yeah.
Get ready for the next the next paragraph. Agori rituals, which are performed precisely to oppose notions of purity commonplace in Orthodox Hinduism, are typically macabre in nature. The practices of Agoris vary, including living in cemeteries, smearing cremation ashes on their bodies, using human skulls for decoration and bowls, smoking marijuana, drinking alcohol, and seating in meditation on top of corpses.
So they're what's the word? Contrarians.
Something like that, yeah. Well, it's only through contrarianism that you can see through the Matrix, Hobbit.
They're irony bros.
Probably. And dude bros. They're dude weed bros, aren't they, as well?
They're dude rape bros.
Yeah. Although contrary to mainstream Hinduism, these practices exemplify the Agori philosophy of criticising commonplace social relations. And they're edgy teenagers, Hobbit. I've figured it. They're not schizophrenics or anything anywhere near as clever as that. Well, they're edgy teenagers.
I was going to say they're about as coherent as some teenagers.
They're goth kids. They're goth kids is what they are, Hobbit.
Yeah, but even in my goth phase, I was never like this.
Yeah. Furthermore, they demonstrate the Agori's acceptance of death as necessary and natural part of the human experience.
Goth for me was like dressing in black and listening to Deadkin dance. It wasn't like, hey, I need to smear myself with dog excrement whilst like meditating in the graveyard, bro.
So anyway, in 2006, an Indian TV crew witnessed one Agori feasting on a corpse. So there is video evidence of the Agoris.
Dom's got important information which will lead to the arrest of the Gories. He said, "Did you know that when T. Lawrence was 9, James Herbert read 120 Days of Sodom to him?"
Yeah, I didn't know that. Thanks, Dom, for clearing that up.
That could well explain some of the stories I've heard about T. Lawrence.
It doesn't surprise me. The Hobbit was a goth, says Ian. He also says diarrhea in a sink would work, but not science. Oh God!
So if you want like some other goth credentials, I basically saw Kai and Lex and thought, yep, that's my role model.
That's my personality.
Yeah, that's going to be my personality for the next 5 years, I think it was. Yeah, I'm just going to, like that, Dead Can Dance, and then...
Humble Cabbage Farmer says, just joined in and hear Hinduism as Brutus been at it again.
Well, we've sort of been around the world in this episode, haven't we?
Yeah, we started off quite laser focused, and then we just kind of...
Oh, yeah, we were we as laser focused?
We were laser focused pre-show.
Well, we're going to do this whole bit about the Cossacks, doing their dancing. The Cossacks.
The Cossacks.
But
I can't believe we've done all of these Ian Lee references. Not one mention from Ian. Like, well done, lads. I like Ian Lee. Ian Lee's Stuart like Lee. Bang on with my politics or anything like Stuart that. Lee.
You're getting Ian from the Late Show mixed up. You know the one that was co-host with the bird with big tits.
Ian Lee. Do you remember Ian Lee's meltdown when Chris being in his chat used to upset
him? I do remember that actually, and it's just like, actually, no, call him up again. I think you're a prick. Right, hang up. Call him up again. I still think you're a prick. Right, hang up. Actually, no, I'm not done. Call him again. It's just like Ian Lee was constantly ringing up. Was it Dopey Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah, and to be fair, I can understand like someone getting annoyed with Dopey Chris, but he was getting like proper like upset about Dopey Chris.
Oh no, poor old cabbage farmer's done an ACAS diversity and equality course. Thoughts and prayers.
Oh. Tell them that you'd love to ask them if you can get an internship working for Sweet Baby Inc.
Yeah, subvert Sweet Baby Inc. from the inside.
Tell them that you identify as non-binary, and then when they ask you more about that, just say, "I'm just not."
Hobbit, did you know the Agori practice medicine? Hobbit.
Right, just briefly, right. When they ask you about non-binary, just say, "Yeah, all the games we work on here, I'm not going to buy them.
I'm not buying them." Yes.
Well, that's why we can all identify as non-binary. There you go. Now we're part of the LGBT.
If you get a application form for Sweet Baby Inc. if it says sex, say yes, please.
Don't mind if I do.
So, any Hobbit, are you ready to hear about Agori medicine?
Oh boy, am I!
Agori practice.
Oh, hang on, I know one. You smear cow shit on your walls because that's antifungal.
Yeah, but the Agori practice healing through purification.
Purification, is that like a euphemism for I'm going to smear cow poo on my face?
As a pillar of their ritual. Their patients believe the Agoris are able to transfer health to and pollution away from patients as a form of transformative healing.
Why don't they do that with the Ganges?
So basically, the Agori, they're like the medic in like a fire team on a PvP.
This like, look, I'm gonna beam your anal polyps to
basically they're the medic. They're the medics in Killing Floor. Is that what they're saying?
They got like a transporter in Star Trek, and they're gonna beam your polyps away to it's somebody else's problem now.
Yeah.
So why can't you just beam the polyps into space? No, you don't understand. It says here we got to give them to somebody else. Then they come to us for healing. Then we beam it into you.
Yeah.
Then you come to us. That's how we get our returning business. Have I just figured out the Agori business model?
However, according to Agori belief,
is that why they called it Agori?
This pollution.
Agori, like, they're fans of the Greek Agora, and they were like, "Yeah, what if we just became like real life Ferengi?"
However, according to Agori belief, this pollution must be moved into another person. Fucking hell, Hobbit, it's like you've already read it. In some cases, Agoris make the claim that human or animal sacrifice is necessary to successfully complete a healing. Some Agoris...
it's literally like, okay, what's the most retarded thing I can come up with? I'll just say that, and then Hemmings goes, "Oh well, it's funny you mention that, Hobbit, because this is what they believe in."
Some Agori scholarship calls this process the transfer of karma. Such practices are in decline and not commonly seen.
Yeah.
We don't want to know modern. They do ashrams as well, but you don't need to know about that, do you?
Great.
Well, and they do yoga as well.
Do they? That's nice. Yeah. But they you know, the Agoris, they do their yoga, they do running around, pooing on people, the Agoris. You know the Agoris?
You know the Agoris, eat corpses, sit down by the river, act like goth kids in the cemetery.
Have a wank while smoking hashish, the Agoris. You know
the Agoris.
They're running around doing their funny little wobbly head dance, the Agoris. The Agoris do that. You know, the Agoris. The
Agoris sit round like goth kids in the cemetery. The
Agoris agreeing with Dom Elfkicker saying a filth pyramid scheme.
the filth Amway. New homeowners in France find skeleton of missing man in their attic, Hobbit.
Oh,
he was the French hide and seek champion. But
Can I just? I'd like to state. I don't know if anybody's carrying on. You know, the one who's going to write a strongly worded letter to our comment section later on, saying, I do genuinely want to do an episode on Tia Lawrence, but I am running a fever at the moment, and we were talking prior to the show, saying, "Well, look, if we can't do it, we'll just wing it." And I guess we're going for Plan B because we will. T. Lawrence will return in return of the T. Lawrence.
This is like I'm just not allowed to do this episode. Like I said, this is Fortean. Right, I've got. There was a bit about T. Lawrence in a Fortean Times. Yeah. And I see it everywhere, apart from the moment I want to actually do the episode when it disappears.
Do you know what it is?
What?
So I'm gonna yes and your bit there.
Yeah.
So as we've expounded upon this before, anytime we've wanted to cover a Fortean subject, sometimes there are paranormal forces at work which put a spanner in the works.
Do you remember the Woodwoes?
We have a name for this spanner in the works. It is called the Woodwoes.
Yeah.
The Woodwoses do not want us to talk about Lawrence of Arabia. There is something very Fortean about it.
Yeah.
But Lady Chatterley's lover, absolutely fine. The Agories, running around, smearing poo on people's faces. The Agories.
Being goths in the cemetery.
Yeah. Being smelly goths in the cemetery. They like doing that, the Agories.
Yeah.
Not having a wash when mum and dad towels them.
Do you want to know about the new people in France that found the
you can't tell us to wash ourselves, mum and dad. That's not goth, the Agories, That's what they say. So what's this about the French Agories?
No, it's the French who found the French hide and seek champion. Couple who have been renovating their new home in a small village in France recently made a grisly discovery. The new homeowners, whose house is situated in Erstoff near the German border. Do you know that area, Hobbit?
Yeah. Not particularly, no.
No. It's a bit too near Alsace, is it?
I mean, I lived in Baden-Württemberg. I don't know much about Germany.
Oh, okay. Had been carrying out repairs and renovation work when, upon venturing into the building's attic space to fix a leak, they discovered to their horror there was a skeleton tucked inside a cubbyhole. Ooh, dear.
Nasty.
Police investigators quickly determined it was the remains were most likely to be those of Alois Ifley, an 81-year-old man and former occupant who had gone missing all the way back in 2009.
Not St. Aloysius.
No, Alois was, I think that was Hitler's dad's name, wasn't it?
Oh.
Alois Scheckelgruber.
Is it, is it Aloysius? Yeah, no, I'm not humble cab. I'm Saxon on both sides. But some of my cousins are. They're or Alemanni, as the French would call them.
Allemagne,
isn't it? Well, yeah, but the Alemanni is that tribe. Yeah. Like we got the Saxons.
Oh, the Alemanni. I thought you thought
the Jutes. Well, that's why the French called Germany the
Alemannia.
The land of the Alemanni.
Yeah.
Or Alemanni land, if we were to use the French term for it.
Hold on a minute. Oh, Hobbit. I can't suspend my disbelief. Okay, then listen to this. At the time, nobody had been able to work out where he'd gone, and his own wife had continued living at the house until her death in 2020. Completely oblivious to the fact her long-lost husband's remains had been in the attic the entire time. He would have been dripping through the ceiling, wouldn't he?
Unless it was a dry rot? Like, I don't... I'm not a... not coroner... pathologist. I'm not a pathologist, but I'm going to assume sometimes the rot is different. Like there's not much that thing in there.
He wasn't very juicy. Is that what we're saying?
So Humble Cabbage Farm and the bit of Belgium my family's from, that was English soil. So that's why I say it's Saxon on both sides.
Yeah. So anyway, the discovery of a noose hanging from the rafters suggested he committed suicide. Authorities are now working to definitively confirm his identity and cause of death. Whether or not the house's new owners will be up to remain there, however, remains to be seen. Interesting.
Yeah. Sorry, I was thinking about how you'd get a body to decay, but in a way that it wouldn't drip through floorboards and such.
Yeah, because generally there's like a point where you get quite juicy, isn't there? Because I think the only way I can describe it is like I've watched programs about like coppers and that, where they've had to break in someone else, find a dead body there. It's like a rotten banana, isn't it? Because they go all black and juicy, don't they? And you have all that like stuff, don't you?
Juicy.
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 Moist. Apparently women don't like the word moist.
Yeah, but women are weird about a bunch of things, aren't they?
Yeah.
They also don't like the word deportation for some reason. Or, never mind.
Shit. You want to do this one, I bet. There's one for you. Local Belgian news.
I will say one strange biology fact, right? And I find this very odd. It's a bit disturbing, but I think it's been one of those horrifying episodes tonight. So, did you know?
Yeah, this definitely is a trigger warning. It's a creepypasta episode.
I would say a trigger warning. Did you know that the average male erection human contains more blood than an adult rabbit? So, adult rabbit. There's about 126 millilitres of blood in an average rabbit. Average human erection, 130 millilitres of blood.
Blimey. So if he'd have died with a hard on, it would have got really juicy then.
Oh, God.
Yeah, also, if he'd have hung himself, he would have defecated. He would have evacuated his bowels, wouldn't he?
I think it's like when you're dead, because your body goes into rigor mortis and then the muscles go lax.
Yeah.
And that's why like coroners have heard like people screaming and moaning after they're dead. And that's because like rigor mortis, all the sphincters are closed.
Yeah.
Then when the muscles go lax, that's when like all the air trapped in the lungs and gases escaping the stomachs from fermentation or putrefaction, that all escapes and then it sort of hisses out and makes these literal deathly moans.
I don't know. It just seems quite preposterous. There'd be no evidence that he was dead in the attic.
Well, I got forgive me on this, right? But I didn't actually understand the beginning of the story. Like I heard it, it went in one ear and then it went out.
They found a skeleton in the attic, so they found a skeleton in the attic. But I'm just saying, at some point, he would have been a puddle. Dom says, I think it has to be humid to turn into a brown puddle. What's like the French-German... What's the average weather like in the French-German border? I suppose it depends whereabouts on the French-German border.
It's quite dry. It's fairly arid.
Is it hot?
What about those cases? Well, here's the thing. It's like, yeah, it's hot as well. What if it's like one of those things like with spontaneous combustion where if the conditions are right, the body will decay into a skeleton.
I know they've found mummified bodies before. Like, I'm talking about mummified recent deaths, haven't they?
So it is a grim thing. They didn't mention about like other debris in the attic. What if like rats had been in there and they'd eaten the flesh from his body? I mean, it's a grisly thought, but they will eat that.
No, all I can say is results in... We'd have to find the proper article, wouldn't we? Did you want to do the local Belgian man found with 5 bones from 5 different people in his body?
Is this Unexplained Mysteries?
Yeah. Mystery surrounds skeleton made up of bones from 5 different people.
Right. Wow. So just... it's right. So... bones. Type in bones. One article found. There we are. Oh yeah, right at the top. A skeleton unearthed in a small town in Belgium over 40 years ago has become the centre of a long-enduring mystery. When archaeologists first discovered actually, what's that speed reader mode? There it is. There's the tome. I'm going to click. Oh yeah, that's a lot better. That makes it dark too. I don't like a white background with black text. I prefer it the images.
That's quite good, that speed reader mode, isn't it?
Well, I actually use an extension called Invert This, but the problem with Invert This, it also inverts the colour of the... It's
so
good
it turns
though,
it into a negative.
It's good because you go on certain websites where speed reader's not going to work, and Invert This will do it. because too many websites they have weight and just don't. Anyway, a skeleton in a small town about 40 years. We said that bit. When archaeologists first discovered skeletal remains in the town of Pomerol. I know Pomerol. Let me just double check. I'm going to look at the map. In southern Belgium back in the 1970s, they initially see it as a Roman burial dating
Hobbit,
back.
if you want to next, I've found the article in French, the original article. So see if that tells us anything more about the dead body.
Right, so there's Pomerol, and oh well, that's why I know Pomerol, because it's. Hang on. I've got a cousin who he used to live there. I don't know if he has moved out since then. But yeah, my uncle lives in Pomerol. Right. Oh, well, maybe I'll have something to talk to him about. I keep meaning to ask him out and say, come on, let's go fishing some point. He likes doing fishing.
You can ask him about the skeleton, see what he knows about it.
This would seem to have been in the end of the matter, but then in 2019, efforts to radiocarbon date the skeleton revealed something. The name Pomerol, it's all rung a bell. It's like, I know that name. And then I looked at it, I was just like, yeah, that's where he lives. So, yeah, Hobbit's uncle doxed.
Used to live in Pomerol.
Yeah. Well, the skull did indeed date back to the Roman era. Other bones were not Roman at all. Not only did it turn out these other bones were from entirely different periods of time, it was also determined they had belonged to no fewer than 5 different individuals. Well, one would hope if they come from different periods of time, they come from different individuals. Someone, it seems, had put the skeleton
together. That'd be weird if
like
it's the same person from different periods of time.
God, yeah, can you imagine? Well, this corpse is all the same person, but these bones are like from drastically different periods of time.
The time traveling skeleton. Idea. Write yourself a book.
The time traveling skeleton.
Yeah.
So the skeleton had been pieced together like a macabre jigsaw puzzle. It is macabre.
Macabre.
According to macabre. Yeah. Macabre. According to archaeologist and study author Barbara...
Life is macabre, old son.
Barbara Veselka? So according to Barbara, I have a foreign name.
Is she German?
It's likely...
Veselka.
That could be a Scandinavian name. It looks... Well, it's not... It's... the thing is, I don't think it's a Flemish name. Anyway, doesn't matter. It's a foreign name, and it looks Scandinavian to me. It's likely the skeleton had been. It is likely the skeleton had been revisited and perhaps even added to over an extended period of time. There are other bones scattered around the individual, suggesting that people could also have come back to the burial. She told Live Science. But why would someone do something like this? Well, because they're goth. In all likelihood,
it's the goth Hindus again. They're at it again.
You know, the Agoris making skeletons out of different bones.
Out of leftovers.
The Gories. In all likelihood, researchers argue superstition likely had a lot to do with it. Disturbance of the burial may have necessitated reparations for the completion or construction of an individual with agency in the afterlife, said Ursula von der Leyen. A second possibility is that the entire individual was assembled during the Gallo-Roman period, combining locally sourced Neolithic bones.
Hold on a minute, I've seen Asterix. There was no Gallo-Roman period.
With a Roman period cranium. Why are you saying Neolithic bones? That is not Gallic. Neolithic was
just locally sourced. It just makes me think of like all the chef programs. I got some locally sourced Neolithic bones for this recipe.
You know, as you do, the locally sourced bones.
They ain't supermarket bones. They're locally sourced bones.
These aren't just any bones. These are M&S locally sourced bones.
Yeah, it's the wrong language to use in this context.
It's a weird one, but
yeah. Right, do you want to skim through this this French. I'll put it in general. I found the original.
Oh,
I found the article in the original French.
I found the article in the original French. It didn't help matters none, but we read it anyway. And the article says, "Give me a minute. It's still loading. Give me a minute. It's still loading. À l'occasion des travaux en cours." Oh, hang on. Speed reader mode, please. Speed reader. The propriétaires de maisons. No, it's not going to work in speed reader mode.
No, it's not having it, is it? Dirty French.
No. Well, look, if I use invert this, that'll work, won't it? So let's just go invert this. Invert. C'est en raison des travaux de aménagement de propriétaires utilisent une demeure située à court de...
I know Dune Maison Lerstoff, that's a house in Erstoff, isn't it? Near to... is that near to Moorhange?
Les tombes sur des ossements. So, ossements, that's bones. Human bones. You know what? It's just going to be easier if I have the machine translate it for me.
Oh, you're going to later. The house...
Yeah.
Oh, I'm doing... My French is like super shit. It's like I've got GCSE French. That's how bad my French is.
November the 2nd, in the late afternoon, the couple immediately notified the gendarmes of the Fourbache company. There is indeed discovery of a corpse in the property, and the cell criminal investigation of Metz was in place, taking account these bones in order to analyse them, says the head of the Ron Bueno Vartan, manager of the company. Oh, a mystery to be solved. So the original, is that it?
That it?
There's no more to this article.
There's that thing, isn't? No.
Oh, hang on. Is this more?
A mystery Resudra Un, and that is this a fucking paywall
mystery.
shite,
Well, I don't know, because you see that all they got underneath it is just tags which relate to stories that are grouped.
Yeah, but you see the grey Un with the dots after it.
Do.
So there is more to it. There is more to it, but I don't know.
Well, I don't see ... on mine, so
I can see a faded Un, UNE, and then ...
Yeah.
So that's not the end of the article, but for us it's the end of the article.
I don't see the ... but that's it, frankly. Yep. That's it.
So we don't know any more about this.
That is just got to be a...
What's Fred Erin in French of it?
Oh, look, audience, maybe you can help me with this, right?
What does Fates Divers mean?
That's diverse fates. The fête divers. Hang on. You mean in the French? Wait, is this in the article?
Yeah, it says Fates Divers.
Divers. Why can't I see? Fuck me! Now it's going into. Do you want to edit the HTML code of this? No, I just. I know the fucking article.
I just want to read the article. Okay, the remains were found. I found another article on MSN. The remains were found in a difficult to access spot under the roof, whose entrance was almost hidden. Gladdy told out. I think she fucking murdered him and stuffed him in there.
Diverse is shortening for. Oh, I wish I could tell you, but sorry, my French is just not that good. It's really frustrating when I read this stuff, and it's like, a third of these words, sometimes half, depending on like how big the words are.
So the dude's wife died in 2020, and that's when they sold the house, and when these poor suckers bought it.
I'll admit this, right? I never learned to read and write in French. I only just guessed it from reading Tintin.
Oh, okay.
And Tintin was simple enough that I could understand it, and occasionally I'd read the dictionary to figure out what that word meant.
There's no real Frenchman found dead in. I don't even know he was a Frenchman. What did he?
Well, they assume they know it was a man. It means facts. So the facts about justice.
Ah, right, okay.
Oh, okay. So, can the audience help me in this matter? Right, I'm hoping somebody in the crowd will tell me. There's something known as fresh greens, or if you go to Sainsbury's, they're just called greens.
Oh, and now it's
It
gone.
looks.
Fresh greens. Yeah, what
Is it?
are fresh greens?
It look well. No, Sainsbury's just called them greens. They look like a type of cabbage.
They
Some
said
sort of.
fresh greens in Tesco's.
Yeah, well, Sainsbury's just calls them greens. That's it. Just one word, greens.
I'm sure I've seen them called spring greens as well.
Yeah, but spring greens refers to a whole bunch of vegetables which aren't, it's not just brassica, and I couldn't find any brassicas known as spring greens. This isn't collard greens, right?
Don't know. What are collard greens? They're just like big leafy greens.
Well, collard greens are a type of brassica which are often cooked.
Hobbit, here we go. These are young cabbages which are harvested before they form a heart and have tender, loose leaves.
Interdimensionalism said they also got sliced greens, which are spring greens specifically.
Mm.
And Alphabet Cat says just a type of brassica, I'd assume. Well, that's what I thought. So,
good food. So BBC Good Food says spring greens are young cabbages, which are harvested before they form a heart and have tender, loose leaves. Really, really nice. I do like greens.
So, you know how like broccoli has leaves on them, and kale's got leaves.
Yeah.
This is all just variants on a brassica, right? Because you see, I think red cabbage and Savoy cabbage, they're really nice, but is Savoy cabbage just an older green then?
Yeah, it's like spring greens are kind of they're more like imagine like a cross between a white cabbage and a Savoy cabbage. So you've got like they're a colour of the Savoy cabbage, but they're flat like a white cabbage.
Well, this makes a lot more sense to me now, because basically what you told me is like, yeah, they're a type of cabbage, and I'm fine with that. It's like, yep, that makes perfect sense.
Waitrose call them fresh greens,
and so do Tesco's. But that's a really annoying, like really stupid title as well. Like fresh, no, can I have some stale greens instead?
I think they call them. I think they call them fresh greens because, like they said in the description, it's a cabbage before it grows the heart.
But it annoys me because it's like saying, "Oh, what, we don't have fresh cabbage then?"
Yeah.
Or well, like you go into America, it's like, "No, we don't have estate agents. We have real estate agents." What, is there a big problem with fake estate agents?
Well, there is in America, I should imagine. Well, they did buy London Bridge, thinking it was Tower Bridge. You know, you got to be.
So after then, they all got called real estate agents.
Probably did.
But what if you've got a fraudulent real estate agent who's selling you fake estate?
Mm.
Do they lose the title of real estate agent then?
Oh, Hobbit, let's read this. Should we read this story with hindsight? Witches are reportedly trying to use spells to influence the US election. Yeah,
well, the mirror, the one that's protecting Jesus Christ, Donald Trump, is Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So these witches thought they were going to give him. Look, the only way these witches are going to injure Donald Trump is if he watched their TikTok videos about them crying, and then he just got like secondhand embarrassment and cringed.
Yeah.
Bigly. Did a big cringe from seeing how.
In recent weeks, for instance, a group of some 100 witches with tens of thousands of followers has reportedly been gathering online to cast spells and hexes designed to stop Donald Trump from returning to the White House. How did they get on, Hobbit?
Wow. Results may vary.
He has a shield, a flimsy one, of course, but a shield nonetheless. I'm trying to figure out a way to create spells that can bypass that, but it's difficult, one rich witch wrote. I hate to say this, but don't do magic against him, said another.
Well, yeah, it's like you're trying to cast a hex on a guy who's literally protected by God himself.
Oh, hold on.
Look,
He has a form of protection surrounding him that feeds off magic done against him. You'll have better results if you focus your magic on helping his opponent or protecting yourself and others.
That's what happens when you go against Jesus Christ. Look,
yeah.
I understand the criticisms of Donald Trump. I sympathise. There are some things he's done which I'm critical of, but I got the feeling that the people around him. This may just be wishful thinking, it may just be a cope, but I got a feeling that with the events that have happened to him, he's now a lot more turned on to Jesus Christ and the what he did. He's basically been given a second chance at life. Like, he has survived multiple assassination attempts. He has survived attempts to put him in prison. The fact is, this guy is now president despite all of what happened. Oh, and now there's the thing where now it can be mathematically proven that the 2020 election was fraudulent. But that's neither here nor there. It's very, very straight. Yeah, and this is the thing. So, like, these witches thinking they're going to do a silly little hex against him, it's like, you do realise God's on this side. God's not going to support your sorcery. You're not going to get away with that scot-free.
Well, I'm pretty sure the Bible says something about not suffering witches to live.
What's the bit? Come on, let's get if we're going to quote the Bible, let's get it right. So, the Bible on sorcery and witch.
No, shall not suffer witch to live. It says in the Bible, doesn't it?
The Bible's this is from digitalbible.canada. The Bible's treatment of witchcraft and sorcery provides insight to early Christian views of spiritual integrity. Okay, so I want to know what are the. Just give me the fucking verses. Don't give me an editorializing. Openbible.info. Maybe this would be better. There we go.
Exodus 22:18.
Do not turn to mediums and necromancers. Do not seek them out, and so make yourselves unclean by them. I am the Lord your God.
What version? So in other words, what version do you want of it?
Avoid the Auguras. Use the Douay Reims if you can.
Douay Reims.
Renovation.
Douay Reims. Wizards, thou shalt not suffer to live.
Well, there you go. Yeah, that's pretty unambiguous.
Yeah.
So renovation, also known as the Book of the Apocalypse, but that's for the cowardly, the faithless, the detestable. As for murderers, the sexually immoral, sorcerers, idolaters, and all others, their portion will be in the lake that burns with fire and sulfur, which is the second death.
How about this one from Exodus 22:19? Whoever lies with an animal must surely be put to death.
I thought that would be in Leviticus.
Oh yeah, no, that's all right. Exodus 22:19.
So here's one from 1 Samuel. It says, "For rebellion is as the sin of divination, and presumption is as iniquity and idolatry. Because you have rejected the word of the Lord, he has also rejected you from being king." Yeah, so I think it's pretty much like
1931. So Leviticus 19:31. You must not turn to mediums or spiritists. Do not seek them out, or you'll be defiled by them. I am the Lord your God.
I think this one's applicable to anybody living in the New World. This is from Deuteronomy. When you come into the land that the Lord your God is giving you, you shall not learn to follow the abominable practices of those nations. There shall not be found among you anyone who burns his son or daughter as an offering, or anyone who practices divination or tells fortunes or interprets omens, or a sorcerer or charmer, or a medium or a necromancer, or one who inquires of the dead. For whoever does these things is an abomination to the Lord. And because of these abominations, the Lord your God has driven them out before you. You shall be blameless before the Lord your God. So, especially that bit about you don't burn your son or daughter as an offering.
How about this one? Leviticus 20:27. A man or woman who is a medium or spiritist must surely be put to death, or they shall be stoned. Their blood is upon them.
So, the Bible, I think, is pretty unambiguous about what you should do with witches.
I don't know, it's pretty shaky on witches, isn't it? I'm not quite sure what they're trying to say there.
The jury's out on this one. You're right.
Yeah, inconclusive. I can't say what the motive is.
Yeah, Alphabet Cat. That's what my concern is. But at the same time, it's not. You got that thing where he turned his head at the right moment, that is, I mean, I don't care what people say about it. That was God turning his head right then. That's the only way I can put it. Why he did that to him and not John Kennedy, who some people call Jack Kennedy, I can't explain that.
Yeah, that's because Jack's shorter than John.
Somebody.
The name Jack is just too long, isn't it? It's just too long. You have to shorten it to John, don't you?
No, I thought that's why they called him Jack. Right, I asked my dad about this, and my dad said, "Yeah, Jack is just the French for John, but then we anglicised it as John. Yeah, but we have Jack. Yeah, but
the French have Jack.
My uncle?" And then I said, "But what about my great uncle Jean-Jacques?" And he says, "Yeah, I'm not sure really, Hobbit. And I said, how does this explain why Americans would call John Kennedy Jack Kennedy? Or why would somebody be called Richard be known as Penis?"
How about this one then? Bloke's got
Kennedy
2 employees.
Election.
Yeah, Bloke's got 2 employees.
John Kennedy stole the election, or the mafia stole it for him. So, yeah.
So, what do you think? So, yeah, but what about Bobby Kennedy going after the mafia so aggressively? Do you think that was them not wanting to pay the price then? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know, but that was the uncle of Robert Kennedy, the guy who's now health minister in America.
Yeah, Bobby Kennedy. No, that's Bobby Kennedy's. He's Bobby Kennedy's son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm saying that both Kennedy
Bobby Kennedy's the brother of Jack Kennedy.
I thought it was Robert Kennedy.
Yeah, Robert Kennedy. Bobby. They used to call him Bobby.
How does Robert become Bobby?
Always has done.
Why do words change? Why do they do that?
Hobbit, just let me tell you this joke. Well, Blake's got 2 employees, Jane and Jack. So he says things are a bit bad. He's got to let one of them go. So he says to Jane, he says, "Look, Jane, I'm gonna have to lay you or jack off." She says, "Well, you're gonna have to jack off because I'm on the blob."
That's a woman joke.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hobbit, does your dad call you Hobbit? Yeah, of course Hobbit's dad calls him Hobbit.
He calls me son.
He calls him William, which is short for Hobbit.
Yeah. No, he calls me Lawrence, which is short for Hobbit. Hey, do you remember that bit when we were going to talk about T. Lawrence and then we didn't?
Yeah.
That was a good joke, that was. I like that.
Yeah.
I think we got away with
JFK had a headache after Dallas. He sure felt silly for not wearing a hat, though, didn't he?
Was it a splitting headache?
Yeah, kind of. His brains ended up all over Jackie, didn't they?
We joke. I think I joked about T. Lawrence, but I got away with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The audience in the middle of a story of it, or not? I don't.
Well, we were talking about. Oh, that was it. Donald Trump and witches.
Yeah, that was done. That was. But yeah, so God's he's turned to God, and he's God's chosen president.
And I really hope the people around him, especially his son Baron, I just hope they've got a word in his ear and it's like,
you know, that Baron's a Langclit, isn't he?
As someone posted on Twitter, and I just thought, oh, okay, I guess 40K's going mainstream now. They said, has Baron got Primarch genes in him? Primarchs in. So, for those not familiar with Warhammer 40K lore, Primarchs are these demigods.
That's not Primarch genes, as in from the shop on the high street that sells cheap Chinese and crap.
No, Primarch is in like. Well, you know when someone's like the head of Eastern Orthodox Church, they call them the Primarch.
Yeah.
The first father. I think that's what it means.
You need the Primarchs.
The Primarchs, they're going around with their 1,000 sons. The Primarchs, the Perturabo, Magnus,
But Hobbit, more
Fulgrim,
importantly than that, did you know they found out where Amelia Earhart might have parked her plane?
in the sea.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, moving on then. The Primarchs, Rowboat, Gurleyman, Lehman Russ. Oh, my favourite one, the Iron Hands. Right, so there's a legion called the Iron Hands. Do you know what their Primarch's called? Right. No, I'm going to prove. He's called Jazz Hands McGee.
Yeah.
I'm going to prove to you that you know Latin, right? So the Primarch of the Iron Hands is called Ferrus Manus.
What does that mean?
Ferrus means iron, Manus is hands.
Ah, right.
So the Primarch of the Iron Hands is called Iron Hands.
So if a Scotchman's called something McManus, then he's something McHands.
No, McManus is actually, what is the McManus clan? Does somebody in the audience know what the? Because Kai from Lex was played by an actor called Michael McManus.
Well, McManus was the actor that used to play Taggart. Taggart has been a murder. Remember Taggart?
Is he the one that said "You're a wizard now, Harry"?
No, that was Cracker. Taggart was a bit before that. Taggart was like he was a cop in Scotland, in Glasgow, and they used to go, "There's been a murder." Obviously, because it was in Scotland.
Who's the one that says "You're a wizard now, Harry"?
Robbie Coltrane. He was in Cracker. Do you remember Cracker?
There's been Robbie Coltrane is Hagrid.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Well, he was.
And Robbie Coltrane.
He won't be anymore.
Yeah. And Robbie Coltrane played Cracker.
Robbie Coltrane's a dead actor. He ceased to be.
Well, he's just having a rest. But he's the one that said that there's been a murder.
No, it was Taggart. That was from Taggart first.
No,
Taggart was on since like the early 80s. Like Robbie Coltrane was still doing bit parts in The Young Ones when Taggart started.
Wait, so Taggart and Cracker are two different things, but they're both like Scottish shows where this is there's been a wee murder.
No, because it isn't Scottish, is it? Because he's down in London.
But he is Scottish.
He's Scottish. He's Scottish, but the show was set in London in Cracker. See, I used to watch Cracker. Instead of X-Files.
What? So you're telling me
that's the choice I had to make when I was a kid.
You're telling me that no Scotchman has been to London and it's like, I'm going to be a detective, and when I see a scene of a crime and it happens to be a homicide, there's been a wee murder.
There's been a wee murder.
It's not a gross murder, it's a wee murder. Oh, speaking of murder, there's a YouTube channel called Full Moon Matinee, and this guy, there's no adverts on it. This guy just dresses up as a gumshoe, and he just like reviews these. He doesn't. Yeah, he does review the films, all these film noirs, and then they play the film. He does an intermission, and at the end of it, he gives his thoughts about what we just seen. So I watched one the other day, and it was about this corrupt copper, and I thought it was really good. Like it was 1952. Can't remember what the.
I bet it wasn't because 1939 Batman. You're quite the fan of that, aren't you?
The very racist Batman, which I disavow.
Problematic. It was very problematic.
So
it was a product. It was a product of its time, Hobbit.
Yeah, it very much was, and it's also. I think the Americans, they just very much. It's something about the Americans, though, that they're like this, though.
You know, the Americans.
You know, they run around circumcising their children, the Americans. The film was called The Turning Point, 1952.
A Turning Point USA.
Yeah, so The
Did
Turning
it have a man with a little face on it, did it?
Turning Point, William Holden, 1952. Film noir crime drama. So it's about this murder and a conspiracy, and they find out that the chief of police is corrupt and he's on the take.
No, I don't.
Sorry, if I've spoiled the film for you, I apologise. But I'd still say it's worth watching.
Have you seen Rope, Hobbit?
No, I haven't. When
I
was
really
that
like that
from?
film. It's a Alfred Hitchcock film. It's really, really good.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't think
So
those films are in
the set of it is there's a couple of really pain in the ass, cocky fucking students, and they go, I know what will teach my host. I'll have a dead body in a box at this dinner party, and I'll just totally dab on him.
Oh.
I know how to get back at my teacher. I'll have a dead body in a box at a dinner party. So the whole thing is like, is this guy? I think it might be like criminology or psychology professor. So he's there with them, and the whole thing is like whether they're going to give the game away or whether he's going to figure out that there's a dead body in the box.
I gotta admit, I've not really been into film noir, but then I don't know what it's been this month. I've been listening to a lot of Roger Rabbit, playing RoboCop, and we never did watch Roger Rabbit. Hemming's got the Blu-ray of it, and I wanted to watch it. It's a good film. If you've never seen Roger Rabbit, I can highly recommend it.
I've been watching the Chucky documentary.
Chuckle Vision. Chuckle Vision.
Not that one. You know, the murderous toy.
Oh, God. The one that's in Basket Case.
No, Child's Play. You know, Chucky. I'm Chucky.
Yeah.
Play.
Oh, yeah. No, Neil was into Basket Case and Chucky.
Is that called Chucky, is it?
Well, I don't know. He watched a bunch of these crap horror films and thought that would be suitable to show to Dave's children. It's like, hey kids, you want to watch this film? No. Well, we're going to watch it anyway. To be fair,
my peak horror watching was probably between the ages of 10 and 18, probably. But then again, I never watched horror films thinking they were real. I watched horror films like watching the special effects and thinking, oh, I wonder how they did that.
I was probably about that age when I watched Critters, and that was a good film.
Yeah. Did you know Leonardo DiCaprio's in Critters 4?
I tried to watch Critters 2, and I did see it, and then when anything after, well, no, I only saw half of Critters 2.
Oh,
and then,
I did watch the. There's a Critters for a new audience, and it was awful. I watched about 5 minutes of it.
No. Pass. But the other Critters films, none of them would load because they were all corrupted.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know.
I've got the DVD box set of all 4.
Basket Case is a 1982 horror film written and directed by Frank Herrenlotter. Produced by... so anyway, the film stars Kevin Van Hendrick as Joanne Bradley, a young man who seeks vengeance on the doctors and nurses who performed an unwanted surgery that separated him from his deformed, co-joined twin brother, Belial, whom Dwayne hides in a large wicker basket. Oh.
Unwanted surgeries for kids, eh?
Yeah. Oh, you removed this disgusting freak from my body. Yeah, it's just bad.
Is it at some point people missed the idea of the monster? The idea of the monster is that the monster is kind of almost justified in what they're doing. So it's kind of a moral quandary you're in. Is what it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be like, yeah, this plays an out-and-out cunt and he does, and you know.
I think Frankenstein's monster was like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's like he didn't ask to be made or become what he was, but like he has to fucking deal with it because Frankenstein is just like knobhead. He just does what he does and doesn't think about the consequences.
Yeah, but he did use a brain from a convict that was executed for his crimes. So the monster wasn't made of moral fibre.
I don't know. I'm trying to think. I watched Pumpkinhead recently. I'd never watched that back in the day. You seen that one? His son dies. So he sacrifices his soul to a demon to take revenge for him.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Nope. Sorry, just not ringing any bells. Look, I'm pretty much done.
Yeah, we've gone way over. We've gone 20 minutes over a bit.
Well, it's okay. We're giving them a bit extra because there was some
Because
pretty
it wasn't
dark
as
moments there.
advertised.
Yeah, you always get extra
Ian,
when it's not
Ian
as
Fortean, actually, Frankenstein was the monster, Noit the scientist. That's what he wrote, Noit the scientist.
Well, I said Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah, so Ian's saying Noit.
Oh, good night, Ian.
Yeah. No, I think he said not the scientist, but he writ it as Noit.
Noit the 9 o'clock news.
Yes. Anyway, it's Noit time to do any more of this stuff. So
And it's
Noit.
Good night from me.
And it's good night from him. No night.
Yeah.
Don't have nightmares and stay spooked.